Hello, my grandbabies. I am Don, your pop culture grandpa. For this video, I want to talk about K-pop or K-pop adjacent things. I've always find myself at a crossroad with K-pop, and I'm not gonna lie, I've trashed the genre, the movement that is K-pop, not only in past videos, but also in real life. There are certain attributes about it that have always irked me, where I find myself in disbelief that people actually like K-pop. While at the same time, there are things I do like about the sound of K-pop. So I guess it's safe to say that K-pop and I
have a complicated relationship.
Despite my qualms with the genre, I have always wanted to make a video about K-pop, but those goddamn fans, their reputation precedes them. Like most fandoms, it's, let's say, not always positive. So I guess this video is me getting over that fear while yapping about the most problematic, cutest music genre in the world.
Let it out!
So let's explore the controversial world of K-pop, how the industry is slated for world domination in a scary way, all while trying to understand why do people love the genre that is so problematic. I am Don, your pop culture boy. Let's get into it.
Catastrophic.
I want to talk about why I'm not that into K-pop, but first, let's define K-pop. What is K-pop? I feel like if you ask people what is K-pop, you'll get various answers. Some will say it's a genre, while others will oppose, citing it's an industry. So let's ask good old Google, what the hell is K-pop? According to Google's very accurate overview, K-pop, short for Korean popular music, is a genre of music originating from South Korea. It's characterized by catchy, often hybrid music styles, polished choreography, and visually appealing performances, frequently featuring idol groups. K-pop is more than just music. It's a cultural phenomenon encompassing diverse elements like elaborate music videos, fashion, and strong fan engagement. Meanwhile, according to the BBC, they define K-pop as originating in South Korea. K-pop, or Korean pop, is a genre of music which has grown in popularity over recent years, evolving from a localized genre to a global phenomenon. K-pop music encompasses a wide range youth culture and musical styles including pop, hip-hop, R&B, electronic dance music, and traditional Korean music. So, for clarity, K-pop is a genre, a culture, and an industry. In regards to why I'm not that into the genre, for years now, I've been a proud K-pop hater, as far back as 2018. One of the main reasons I'm not that into the genre is how it sounds like a soundtrack. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks this, but if a song isn't tied to a movie but it appears that way, I tend to not like it. I've always attached the sound to anime, and in most cases, I don't want to hear the soundtrack of my favorite anime outside of me watching said anime. Unless it's a score, then I tend to feel differently about it. Maybe that's a weird stance for some, but I can't turn up to music that sounds like an anime opener that isn't attached to an anime. There's also this kid-like emoting vibe that is attached to it that I can't get jiggy with. In terms of the aesthetics attached to these K-pop stars, and please do not take this the wrong way, but they come off as a product and not real people. Their aura gives off Yu-Gi-Oh! And Sailor Moon cosplay. Their skins are smooth and blemish-free, and I know Koreans have great skincare, but there is something very uncanny and doll-like that sends me in the opposite direction. All in all, they seem geared towards the under 16 demographic. While I'm sure this video will give the vibe that I've never fucked with the entity that is K-pop since 2018, which is nobody's fault but my own as a self-proclaimed K-pop hater. That being said, I, your pop culture grandpa, wasn't always like this. Prior 2018, I was indeed exposed to K-pop, and I loved it. In 2012, there was this relatively unknown South Korean artist named Psy, who completely shattered the West with his infectious smash, Gangnam Style. The song was huge. Oh, you had to be there to experience the pure joy and chokehold Gangnam Style had. It had me foaming at the mouth, so much so you'd shoot me on sight in fear I was a 28 days later zombie. Only that I was possessed by Psy's infectious Gangnam Style dance that I still do to this day.
To this day!
It was glorious and a spectacle. Gangnam Style became a global phenomenon due to its explosive music video and viral dance. It peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100 and became the first video on YouTube to reach 1 billion views. The success on YouTube was so unprecedented that at the time that it became the reason a Billboard started factoring YouTube views towards the Hot 100. During the reign of the track, I don't even know what K-pop was.
I don't know what it looks like!
An even earlier and nuanced influence for me is the psychological anime film Perfect Blue. Now I know Perfect Blue is Japanese, not South Korean, however there is an overlap as the story surrounds main character Mima, who is a part of a J-pop idol group, which is very similar to K-pop idols. Released in 1997, Mima suffers from psychosis as she retires from being a J-pop idol to pursue a career in acting, while being tormented by a stalker. Over the years, K-pop has been steadily working its way into our peripheral and hearts through other mediums like film that doesn't necessarily scream K-pop, such as the South Korean black comedy thriller film Parasite, released in 2019, which grossed $258 million worldwide on a $11 million budget. Parasite became the first non-American film to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards, i.e. the Oscars. Let's not forget to mention the Squid Game series that broke records on the western side of Netflix. For those who don't know, Squid Games is a South Korean series, but I think what makes it K-pop adjacent is the introduction of the side character Thanos in part 1 of season 2, or just season 2. In that season, Thanos has an overtly animated and performative personality, all strong traits in K-pop music and productions. And in real life, the guy who plays Thanos is a K-pop rapper known as T.O.P. Joe Yuri, another K-pop artist, was also cast in the series. Overall, I also find that season of Squid Games very K-pop inspired, with the playful soundtrack and how it all seems like a twisted version of a K-pop idol series. We also saw Lisa, member of girl group Blackpink, starred in season 3 of American series The White Lotus on HBO this year. Lisa's role in The White Lotus is a prime example of K-pop's global reach extending beyond music into film and TV. Her casting in a high-profile HBO series alongside her music career and massive following on Instagram shows how K-pop stars are leveraging their fame to influence global entertainment. Now, are the Squid Games and the other entertainment mediums I mentioned that includes South Korean influence the only time we saw its influence had an impact on the West, or specifically in the US? Absolutely not, as this has been happening since the 90s. Point I'm making is, K-pop's polished production, choreography, and fan engagement has always stood out, but language, cultural differences, and limited label infrastructure in the West kept K-pop niche until BTS, Blackpink, and other entities such as the Squid Game series and others. According to an insight from MorganStanley.com published in 2024, Korean popular music, aka K-pop, is on the verge of expanding its global fanbase. After more than 20 years of cultivating a devoted following in Asia, the South Korean pop music phenomenon is poised to take a leap into the mainstream, generating investment opportunities in the process. A wave of global interest in all things South Korean, from TV shows and movies to food, has helped K-pop amass a large following in the West, says Morgan Stanley research equity analyst Sion Park. Now, many of the newest performers are incorporating Western pop elements, including input from Western songwriters, to broaden their listener base. K-pop's viral rise didn't happen by accident. It's the result of effort, planning, and trial and error by an industry that set its sights on creating a genre that would transcend niche regional offering to reach global appeal. Along the way, Korean music companies learned how to optimize content, train performers, and enhance interactions with international fans. So basically, K-pop's coming for blood, and they want a piece of that global music pie. On the surface, Korean pop comes across as orchestrated, perfectly crafted earworms, along with highly precise choreography, but underneath lies a barrage of negative criticisms and outrageous controversies. So in this segment, let's talk about some of the problems with the K-pop industry. K-pop is often criticized for being a highly manufactured and commercialized product, prioritizing profit over artistic expression. The genre's identity is shaped by entertainment agencies that tightly control idols' images, music, and public personas, leading to accusations of inauthenticity. Critics argue that K-pop's formulaic production, emphasizing catchy hooks, synchronized choreography, and polished vocals, limits creative freedom and results in repetitive content. Some even argue that K-pop is not even an authentic genre, seeing how closely it borrows from genres such as R&B, reggae, and hip-hop, without proper acknowledgement or understanding, sparking culture vulture discourse. And that its name, K-pop, also borrows from J-pop. Back in April, Tabi Kibuji from Teen Vogue wrote, "In 2019, J-Hope of BTS was criticized for his hairstyle in the chicken noodle soup video, which some thought resembled dreadlocks. In 2020, ATEEZ apologized after member Hongjoong wore neon blue cornrows. In 2021, Jay Park was accused of cultural appropriation in his song DNA Remix, which many think was inspired by Kendrick Lamar's DNA, where he and other Korean artists wore braided hairstyles and attire reminiscent of African American culture. Yet the video was about celebrating Korean identity. Whether it's singing to the N-word or appropriating hairstyles, it all keeps happening over and over." In regards to the idol system, which refers to the structured training and debut process where aspiring artists or idols are groomed by entertainment agencies to become well-rounded entertainers, involves rigorous training programs where trainees are molded into marketable stars, often adhering to strict beauty standards and predetermined concepts. This can stifle individuality as artists rarely have control over their music or image, especially early in their careers. There have also been reports of slave contracts and numerous reports of idols undergoing cosmetic procedures to fit the K-pop mold. This mold emphasizes specific aesthetic ideals such as large eyes, double eyelids, a small face, a V-shaped jawline, a high nose bridge, and flawless skin, which are seen as essential for marketability and fan appeal. So K-pop is extremely hyper-fixated on outer appearances in a toxic way. Okay, so there's no secret that these K-pop idols are extremely manufactured. And sure, we can argue that all artists are manufactured. All acts goes through some form of training or initiation. They are given stylists, a team, songwriters, etc. However, unlike acts outside the K-pop bubble, it's not that obvious, and critics have to be a bit more disingenuous when calling out acts, let's say in the US, for being manufactured, as it's not that obvious in my opinion. However, in the case of K-pop groups, they are obviously contrived only for mass appeal. They are blatant carbon copies of the nostalgic pop and R&B of the 90s and 2000s era, but also void of soul. Something that I've noticed that really bothers me within their online base is how they seem like bots. And sometimes it all works out perfectly, but there are other times where they have this tendency to flood conversation that has nothing to do with K-pop. Another bot-like behavior I'm very suspicious of when it comes to, K-pop stans, it has to do with their faves YouTube views, spiking on premiere and then kind of flatlining the next day. So for example, they will release a music video and on the first day it will get 20 million views, and then the next day it will get an additional 5 million views, which doesn't really make sense. That sounds more accurate when it comes to streaming on like Spotify, but not for YouTube. In my experience, normally when a huge artist, release their music video on YouTube, and let's say they get 40 million in the first day, they will constantly have high views. So 40 million the next day, maybe, 10 million the next day, and it will just continue to rise and rise. But with a lot of these K-pop groups or, K-pop acts, they will put out their music video, and it just kind of flatlines the next day after getting 40 million. And I'm not, saying this is guarantee, like it's botted guaranteed, because I don't have proof of that. But the math ain't mathin'. It doesn't make sense. There is also racism, but not just racism, but blatant racism. What the hell? Back in late March, pre-debut videos of Blackpink members Lisa, Rose, and Jennie saying the N-word while auditioning were leaked online by an alleged former employee of YG Entertainment. In their introductory message on Discord, they revealed a strong motive for their action, stating, "I'm doing all of this because I was terminated. I hold immense resentment towards the entire company. The workplace is plagued with harassment, discrimination based on race, and gender biases."
And does pop a pill, pop a nigga, right? Bro, start breaking me, body rolling.
Shit. Got your ass.
I remember when those videos were leaked and I saw people defending them, saying that maybe they aren't aware of the implications of, saying the N-word if you aren't black. And I'm not buying that. Now, I'm not saying they are racist, as I have no proof. And saying racist things doesn't necessarily mean one is racist. It could be ignorance, or they might not give a damn because one of them, I think her name is Lisa. She's a rapper. Also, maybe they thought they could say it and get away with it because they aren't white, as there are Asians who think they can say the N-word because of movies they've watched that portrayed black people as being okay with giving out, movie passes to Asians. Now, I'm not going to call for their cancellation because, number one, it's not going to work. Y'all didn't, cancel Justin Bieber when he said the N-word. Plus, a part of me feels like maybe they were given ultimatums, maybe they said, say it or else, you don't get a career. Additionally, I truly believe their fans don't care about the N-word. Plus, I don't believe in cancel culture. That being said, I am giving them the side eye, seeing they haven't responded or apologized after the alleged video of them saying the N-word with their whole chest came to light in 4K. Allegedly. Since K-pop became more mainstream since the 10s, it feels like the industry has had a stringent plan to dominate the global music market. Agencies cultivating global fan bases via platforms like Twitter and TikTok. Fans drive viral challenges. Fans even organize streaming parties to boost chart rankings, a tactic that helped BTS top Billboard. South Korea's government has invested heavily in everything Korean since the 2000s, funding K-pop concerts and cultural festivals abroad through the Ministry of Culture. These strategies have made K-pop a $10 billion industry. Unlike the early days when BoA and Wonder Girls struggled with limited infrastructure, today's K-pop leverages global streaming, fan power, and cross-industry moves, such as having the biggest names in Blackpink, Lisa and Jennie, branching off into acting in high-profile projects, HBO's The White Lotus and The Idol, all of which sounds good for the growing industry. However, its recent milestone in the West, while it's a cause for celebration, has a sinister vibe attached. Which leads us to Golden, a song by the fictional girl group Hunter X from the animated musical fantasy film K-pop Demon Hunters. Unlike K-pop groups that are mainly produced by South Korean or Asian entities, the film K-pop Demons Hunters and their groups are channeled through American companies/labels, Sony Pictures and Republic Records. Currently, Golden sits at the summit of the Hot 100, making Hunter X the first girl group to go #1 on the chart since Destiny's Child Bootylicious in 2001. While this is not the first fictional musical act to impact Billboard in a major way, it is a little more concerning this time. Hear me out. Right now, we are in a period of rampant AI, and by no means am I saying Hunter X is, but maybe this will be the catalyst for the music industry to make more trendy K-pop inspired fictional characters voiced by real people to earn more revenue. Because real artists are turning out to be bad for business in some cases. For example, artists always clapping back at their audience and even suing their own label like Drake is right now. These actions are PR nightmares that can cost labels when time for said artists to release a body of work. Meanwhile, a fictional character does exactly what the label wants, says what the label wants, never gets tired. Walk that line of a perfect celebrity. And these problematic ass artists cannot compete with that. Unfortunately, this might be the new wave, and why not? Hunter X has now proved to be a success on the charts. So what's going to prevent these labels from investing in more fictional K-pop characters in the West? Because so far, audiences are not receptive of AI artists, and right now, K-pop is somewhat proving to be the spectacle that once captivated audiences, and labels want to recapture that more than anything right now. In conclusion, I know this video has been all over the place, but I feel like it all captures the sentiments of why do people like K-pop ? I also wanted to make this video to kind of walk back some of the claims that I've made about K-pop in the past. Am I completely no longer a K-pop hater? No. Quite frankly, I'm still a K-pop hater. Because I still find it hard to get over some of the attributes such as the overly manufactured qualities and how these idols cosplay Black culture in a weird, inauthentic way. But I am getting more somewhat impressed with these acts as they become more single genre focused or getting better at making the music more mature and less immature, which might be problematic for some, but we all have different taste. But a lot of these idols are grown, and catering to younger audiences when you are an adult can be creatively exhausting. Some of the acts that caught my eye are Cat's Eye, who isn't strictly K-pop but K-pop adjacent. I think they look really yoked as a group despite whatever drama they have. If they have any drama, let me know. The songs that have really caught my attention from them are the Powerpuff Girl-esque Touch and the shock value track Gnarly, which was really annoying at first but is now growing on me. And it's not even a good song per se, I'm gonna be honest, but they did good with making it interesting. I think they have something special. Also, Jennie and Rosie have surprised me as well with a more mature sound on tracks like Messy by Rosie and Jennie's Handlers. In terms of BTS, I can't get into it. Not for me, to Disney Channel, but I do like J-Hope's Mona Lisa to some degree, and I think he's from BTS. He's on like the solo track right now. All in all, I'm realizing a lot of these K-pop idols are making an effort to be more mature by, cussing in their music, which is really surprising, and dropping the Disney act. And if you know me, your pop culture grandpa, you know I love an explicit song. So I'm starting to get the hype and be more accepting of the genre and starting to see why people love the genre so much. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are still here at this point in the video, then it means that you enjoyed the video, so please give it a like. Or maybe you stuck around to the end just to drag me in the comments anyway. I don't know. Shameless plug, please subscribe to my second channel /podcast. It's Late Night with Don-Anjelo. It's a fun time over there. We be just chatting a whole bunch of shit over there. So if you like that, go ahead and subscribe and watch all the videos. Yeah, I just really wanted to make this video about K-pop because I've just been having a lot of conflicting feelings about K-pop. Recently, my playlist has been flooded with a lot of K-pop songs. I've been listening to them, enjoying them, and not even realizing that they were K-pop. So I'm like, bruh, I need to make a K-pop video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Don, your pop culture boy, and I will see you in the next one.